Hello, and welcome to Stocks Down Under. My name is Stuart Roberts, and I'm one of the co-founders of our service. And joining me from Vancouver, down here in Sydney, it's the Tuesday, the 17th of June, 2025. It's the 16th of June in Vancouver, is Ms. Martina Blahova, who's the new CEO at Euro Manganese, ASX EMN. Martina, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Stuart. Thanks for having me.
So right now, I can pick up Euro Manganese in Australian dollar terms, and it's traded on TSXV as well for about $30 million. Now, I've practiced a few times to pronounce this, Chvaletice Manganese Project in the Czech Republic. How did I go there?
So Chvaletice Manganese Project.
I know about that, but the name of the project, did I say it right?
Not quite, but that's okay. It's a challenging name. Me being Czech and Canadian makes it easier.
Right. So how do we say it?
Yeah.
I've said Chvaletice.
Chvaletice.
Chvaletice. That's it. Chvaletice.
Perfect.
Right.
Yeah, very good.
90 kilometers east of Prague, you've got an old manganese mine with a lot of tailings left lying around. If you and your colleagues have their way, you will then build a project to produce battery grade manganese from those tailings, which will be relevant in Europe because this is probably the largest undeveloped manganese project within the EU. So strategically very important and could be potentially a great payoff for the shareholders. Have I understood the story correctly?
Yeah, I think what I would like to add is most of the project is the processing from the ore to the high purity manganese products, which currently most of the processing capabilities and facilities, and that's 95+%, is in China. So there is a very small plant in Europe. Ours would be significantly larger, and there is no processing in North America. So very important to have these critical raw materials, not just the deposits in the countries, but also the processing capability, having extracted from places where they're done now, but into Europe and also in North America if possible.
Right. There's a very interesting slide in your most recent presentation where you talk about various battery chemistries that are coming forward for the lithium-ion battery space, or what succeeds the lithium-ion battery. Most of them involve more manganese, or a considerable investment in manganese. So manganese is going to be important to our electrification future. It's fair to say that a lot of investors don't understand the role of manganese in new battery chemistries. Give us a little bit of color about where manganese fits.
So even these days, in about half of the car batteries, manganese is present. So there are a lot of chemistries that already have manganese in them. Usually those are the nickel, manganese, cobalt batteries. And there are also batteries that did not have manganese in them. And that's for example, the LFP lithium iron phosphate battery, but manganese is being added now to the battery. And the two main things that manganese can do in the battery is increase the energy density. So it means longer range.
Right.
And decrease the price. So manganese, when you look at nickel, manganese, cobalt battery, is the cheapest metal. It can replace cobalt. Obviously, cobalt is much more expensive and has its issues because of where it's mined. And by adding more manganese into the NMC battery, you can still have the same efficiency of the battery, but it can become cheaper. So for the mass market, decreasing the price of the battery and increasing the range, one or the other or both, it's very important.
Right. So there's going to be two end products at your project in the Czech Republic. The pure metal, electrolytic manganese metal, and then you'd upgrade some of that to high purity manganese sulfate monohydrate. So we're talking the raw material, manganese dug from the ground, trades at dollars to the ton. Here we go up to about $10,000 a ton on your 2022 feasibility study. So a very high-end product with a great margin at the end. What's the big technical challenges that you've had to face as you and your team have built this project out?
So the big and challenging part of the process is the electrowinning circuit. And manganese is kind of a metal that doesn't want to be metal. So the fine tuning of the process to the deposit that we have and removing the impurities that cannot be in the final product, and also limiting the ones that can be, is the challenge. We have managed to do that. We have a demonstration plant at site, which has been fully commissioned, and we have produced the metal, which is the first product that we go through. That allows us to control the purity of the process and the final product. And we also managed to produce the sulfate, which is the second product. So the metal gets dissolved in sulfuric acid and then gets crystallized into the sulfate powder. And we have managed to produce quite a sizable samples of the metal and the sulfate on spec, so specifications compliant with what most of the potential battery chemistries would need, and also what is the specifications of the demo plant. And so fine-tuning your process based on what comes into it, and removing the impurities and making the metal as pure as is required for batteries, that's the main challenge. Right. And that is specific to each ore body that you're processing.
Right. So the pilot plant will help you prove this stuff up. Same time, you'll be able to send it off to potential customers, have them prove the material, and
yes, correctly.
And if you play your cards right, that'll lead to some offtake. In turn, that'll lead to some interesting financing. I look at the numbers.
Yes.
The NPV on the 2022 feasibility study after tax, a very cool 1.3 billion US. So quite a valuable project. Internal rate of return 22%, but it's going to cost you about 757 million to develop it. You've got some interesting friends. European Bank of Reconstruction and Development is on the register. But the challenge, offtake then through to financing, is where you've come in to lead this company. Talk to us about the challenges that you're facing right now.
So the offtakes are what we need to underpin the bank debt. And currently we do have 4 offtake term sheets in place, 2 with European companies, 2 with companies in the US. And we're in discussions with other potential customers about deliveries of products. So another set of term sheets. We would like to build a quite varied offtake term sheet book so that we can then select the right mix for the project financing. Obviously, for the project financing, we will need to have a significant part of our production under offtake agreements, and that is the main kind of that's the main goal for the near future, to secure more offtakes and turn those offtake term sheets, which are usually non-binding, into an actual agreements to secure the project financing.
All right. You've got a lot of public policy support for the project. I see that the adults are in charge in the Czech Republic. Prime Minister's Petra Fiala of the Civil Democrats took office a few years ago. So business-friendly government. You've got that government's now declared your project as a critical project for the Czech Republic, as I understand.
So we have 2, recently we have received 2 significant designations for the project. One is from the European Commission. We're one of the 47 projects that have been declared as strategic for the European Union. And shortly before that, the Czech government, as you mentioned, declared the deposit as strategic and critical for the Czech Republic. What that gives us is an opportunity for more streamlined permitting. I do have to say that we have been advancing really well with the permitting. We have the environmental permit, we have a mine and lease permit, which gives us unlimited in duration rights to extract the minerals. And the government has always been at all levels very supportive of the project. The determination as critical puts us in the same group of projects as you would have when you're building tunnels and highways, which means it's significant for the country, and there is an interest to make it happen kind of quicker, and permitting is one of the ways that can happen.
Right. And let's not forget the strategic location. Aussies are used to having to drive forever to get anywhere. Different in Europe. So from your project, say to the city of Dresden, or any of the gigafactories that are showing up in various parts of Europe, we're talking a few hours drive, right?
Correct. Where we are, it's a brownfield development. We have access right there at site to rail, to road. There is electricity, gas, water, everything because it's densely populated, obviously, as Europe tends to be, and it's an industrial area, but everything is right there.
Right. And I'm keen to do the site visit. The city of Prague looks wonderful this time of year. I'd love to be able to go and look at the Charles River before I come out and take a look at your project.
Yeah, you're definitely welcome. The project is, as you mentioned in the beginning, about an hour east of Prague, so quite a nice site visit when you come because you don't even have to kind of stay overnight. But it's very interesting where we are and to see the size of the project, the demonstration plant, of course, and the tailings that are right now kind of sitting on a piece of land. It's about 1 square kilometer and different heights, about 18 to 25 meters in height. The project ensures about 25 years of production. So that's quite significant.
Right. Investors down here are unlikely to have known you because you've only recently stepped up to run this company. Tell us a little bit about Martina.
So I'm, born and raised in the Czech Republic. I've been in Canada for 15 years, but I've spent about half of my life abroad. And, Czech Republic is still my home, so is Canada. I've been with the company for almost 7 years. In the last, before I stepped into the interim CEO role, which is November 2024, I was a CFO of Euro Manganese for 5 years before that. I have worked in mining before, prior to EMN. I was with SSR Mining for 5 years, and before that, kind of consulting within the mining industry. My background, I have a degree in business, international business, and I worked in audit, Ernst & Young and PwC for about 8, 9 years, and then had a short period where I worked in the automotive industry. So Euro Manganese, having that connection to my home country and basically know the language and the culture and know how Europe works, that's I think that brings a lot of insight and value to both kind of countries doing business kind of here, having that Canadian parent, but also representing the Canadian and the Czech company in the Czech Republic.
Right. It's a great story, and you and your colleagues have brought it a long way. Clearly, given the fact that we're up to now the pilot plant stage. So well done. More importantly, good luck in terms of the next couple of years, getting the product right at the pilot plant level, the offtakes, and if you play your cards right, the financing. It's going to be a great story.
Thank you. Yeah. We're
Thank you for
definitely
joining
working
Stocks
very
Down Under.
hard at bringing it to the next stage.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you. Thank you for joining Stocks Down Under.
Thank you so much for having me.